What is going on, you guys? Mr. Per here. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day as always. And in today's video, we are going to be going over the crazy and weird alternate realities of Spider-Man. So I'm going to be picking my personal top 5. Now, this list is really crazy because we have a lot of weird alternate Spider-Man. And I'm really excited to go through the Spider-Verse and kind of pick and choose which ones I really think would fit the list. So anyways, let's get into the list. Coming in at number 5 on my list is the Peter Parker of Earth 921,000. It's a different reality where we have a 6-arm Spider-Man, and now in this reality we have Spider-Man. He got into a tussle with Doc Ock, and in this reality he, instead of curing himself, he thinks it's a lot better to be the 6-armed Spider-Man. So eventually, he still becomes a hero. And unfortunately, Morbius gets murdered in this comic book. So in this what if, we have a reality where, he couldn't get cured because, he needed Morbius to cure himself. And then afterwards, he actually goes after, Dr. Connors for a cure. And pretty much everybody just told him that, he couldn't get cured. So, Peter goes along the lines of fighting Doc Ock, and he's like, after the end of the day, he realizes that, his 6 arms isn't actually that bad. So in this weird, wacky reality, we have a 6-armed Spider-Man pretty much running around, and eventually he would make his way into the Spider-Man 2099 Volume 2 comics in issue 6. And what actually happens here is, he was in the Spider-Verse event. He was teaming up with Superior Spider-Man, but he was actually murdered by one of Morland's brothers, so he ended up getting killed. And it kind of sucks that this alternate Spider-Man ended up dying, because he's one of my favorite personal Spider-Man. I've always loved the fact that Spider-Man had 6 arms, and in this reality, he tried to become a hero again, and then he gets sucked into the Spider-Verse and ends up getting killed. Number 4. And that is the Patton Pernell Earth 51412. Now, this reality is very, very weird. This is a really disturbing reality, because in this reality we have a man spider, where Spider-Man is a disturbed kid that actually gets beaten by his uncle. Now, in this reality, we have Peter Parker, and I don't think it was actually Peter Parker now. I think it was a different name. It was Patton Pernell. And he was living with his uncle Ted, and he was experimenting with animals and different weird things. And all of a sudden he gets the spider. I think he went on a trip with the spider, and he ends up getting bit by it, but it's this really weird mutagenetic thing or whatever. So he's doing illegal experiments, and he ended up getting transformed into a spider-like monster, and then he started luring people into his house, kids from his school, and he ended up killing a bunch of people. Now, he was kind of like a vampire. And then what actually happens here is that we have, instead of Mary Jane, we have a Sarah Jane. So Peter actually invites her over to his house, but then all of a sudden, you see different things where his uncle was pretty much dead. So we have a reality where Patton Pernell, Peter Parker's Spider-Man, becomes a serial killer kind of thing, where he's killing people at his school. And he actually kills Sarah Jane by actually biting her in the neck, and each bite would contain spiders that would actually come out of the bite, which is very disturbing, very weird. It's a really crazy reality, because we have Morland coming in at the end and actually drains Pattinson's life force out of him. And pretty much kind of saves Sarah Jane at the end of the day. But it's just a really weird reality where you have Morland actually become the hero in this reality and killing that Spider-Man. He first appeared in Edge of Spider-Verse issue 4 in 2014, and his powers are just it's really weird. He can transfer spiders into your skin, and very disturbing. And that's number 4 on my list. Coming in at number 3 is probably one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite alternate realities, and that is the Spider-Man of Earth 91110. Now, this reality has the Cosmic Spider-Man pretty much keeping his powers. He keeps the cosmic powers. He tried to get rid of them so he could become Spider-Man. He can become the original Spider-Man, but it ends up not working. So, he actually falls into this whole thing where he's like, okay, I just want to be a normal person again. And, he tries to retire from crime fighting. he actually makes a deal with Venom, because Venom, you know, he goes and tries to interrupt a bunch of stuff. He starts attacking people, and then he realizes that, like, you know, he can't fight the enhanced Spider-Man that has cosmic powers. So Venom makes a deal with him where, you know, Venom would become the hero and Peter would actually retire. And, you know, he tried to retire, and then all this other stuff happened. You know, there was trouble in the universe. So, you know, Peter had to actually come back and become the cosmic Spider-Man. And it's really cool because in this reality, we have a alternate reality where Spider-Man was pretty much unstoppable. Like, he was like a cosmic god almost, like, and you know, we've had alternate versions of the cosmic Spider-Man, but to see him like fully like transform into this thing was just really interesting. You know, he was making deals with like Thor, and like he was, you know, trying to fight Doctor Doom. So it's a really cool reality, one of my favorite alternate Spider-Man, because he's just really crazy, he's OP, he's powerful, and you know, he can just pretty much do anything that he wants when he's the cosmic Spider-Man. And he doesn't have to worry about, you know, fighting like petty villains like Venom, because, you know, with one snap of his fingers he could literally destroy people. So that was coming at number 3 on my list. Now, coming in at number 2 would have to be Peter Parker of Earth 2818. Now, in this reality, we have a really weird cyborg Spider-Man. Now, in this reality, you know, he becomes an enhanced cyborg, because I think what actually happened to this Spider-Man is that, like, he was pretty much beaten, and then they turned him into like a really weird cyborg. You know, it's only referenced a few times in the Spider-Verse, but like this design of Spider-Man was really cool, and I think he actually ends up getting killed at the end of like Amazing Spider-Man issue 10, you know, in the Spider-Verse. So, you know, this was a really cool enhanced cybernetic Spider-Man where he could do all this random stuff. You know, he could get like giant guns out of his hands or like claws. So this Spider-Man definitely had to be on my list. And coming in at number 1 would have to be the one and only zombie Spider-Man from Earth Z. When Earth Z pretty much got infected with tons of zombies, you know, Spider-Man ended up becoming a zombie, and he went full rampage, started eating people, went to alternate realities, jumping realities where he could probably like time travel, and he just ends up, you know, causing way too much damage in the Return of Marvel Zombies, where he actually ends up ripping his entire skin out of his body, which is just really weird. And he also does like different things in, you know, alternate realities where, you know, he would try to recruit different like versions of like Wolverine. He would try to do all this weird stuff. So, you know, Zombie Spider-Man definitely has to come in at number 1 for a crazy and really wacky alternate version of Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. So this is my top 5 list. Tell me what your top 5 list in the comments down below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.